Hey guys, Stan here for BladeReviews.com, and this time around I am taking a look at the entire line of 2011 Cold Steel Voyagers. Very cool knives. They've already been heavily reviewed, but just so excited about these that I definitely wanted to put my humble review in with the rest, and I went out and I got all three of them and have tested them pretty significantly, so I think this is going to be a pretty decent review, and so I'm just happy to share it with you guys. So let's get into it. Let's do the review. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride here. I'm going to start things off with some very quick specifications. What we have here is the XL Voyager. It's got a 5.5 inch long blade. This is the large Voyager, and it's got a 4-inch long blade. And this is the medium Voyager, and it's got a 3-inch long blade. So a little something for everybody here. And another kind of important spec that I needed to throw out, or that I wanted to throw out, were the weights of these knives. So you've got 3.1 ounces, you've got 4.6 ounces, and then you've got 7.2 ounces. So these knives are all really light for their size, especially the XL and the L here. Both of those, I mean, 7.2 ounces for a knife that's over a foot long. This thing's like 12.25 inches long. You just can't find any folding knives like that weigh 7.2 ounces. It's really pretty incredible. And since we're throwing numbers around, let's get the prices out of the way too, because I think it's important when we're kind of, just provide a little context. You can find the medium Voyager for $30 to $35. I'm talking about online prices, including shipping. About the best deal you can find, around $30 to $35. You're looking at $35 to $40, and you're looking anywhere from $40 to $50 for the XL, just depending on where you're shopping and those kinds of variables. So with that out of the way, let's take a closer look at the blades here, which are really pretty cool. Now, if you've already done your homework and have done your reading on the Voyager, you'll know that it comes in 3 different blade styles. You've got the clip point, which is shown here, and I'm going to be using the large as kind of our reference knife. You've got the clip point, you've got the Tanto, a nice American Tanto, and then you've got what they call the Vaquero, which is another clip point. It's been heavily modified, and it's got a pretty serious recurve to it. And for me, I'm a clip point. I'm the Bowie guy all the way, so that's what I picked out for all 3 knives. That's what I prefer. I guess it might have made more sense to get like one of each, but what the heck, I really do like the classic clip point shape, because I love the classic Bowie knife, and so that's why, what can I say? I'm a sucker for a good clip point. So regardless of which blade shape you get, and then they also offer these in partially serrated, plain edge like you see here, or fully serrated. So regardless of what actual blade shape and configuration you pick out, it's going to come in AUS 8 stainless steel. And to be honest with you, given the price and the intended use of these knives, I think AUS 8 is fine. I mean, would I like a better steel? Sure. It's like asking if I would prefer a V8 engine instead of a V6. Yes, more horsepower all the way. But, you have to stop and consider the price, and you got to stop and consider what you're going to be using these for. And I think especially the medium and the large are going to be EDC or utility knives. And I think, AUS 8's perfectly fine. And I've used both these knives. I've used all 3. Pretty seriously, especially this medium. Large has seen some use. XL, I've carried it a few times. I can't say I've really used it too much, but the AUS 8's been holding up fine for me. It takes a really nice edge, and it doesn't hold it forever, but you'd be surprised. I get a good amount of use out of it before I need to touch it up again. And when I do touch it up, it's quite simple and doesn't take much time or effort to do so, especially with just the standard clip point shapes. So let's take a closer look at the clip point version itself, since that's what we have handy here. And you'll notice it's got a full flat grind. It's got a nice lean swedge running across the top, and it comes into a pretty sturdy tip. So great for penetration if you're cutting open boxes and stuff like that. Should hold up well. And it's also quite practical because you've got a lot of belly here too, so great for those EDC tasks. And in a pinch, I mean, these could work for tactical knives or even light duty outdoor camp knives, survival knives even. So I've seen these be, batoning through wood and stuff, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So yeah, just very functional blades, and every single blade has been given a beautiful stonewash finish too. So I really like this for the price. I mean, Cold Steel, as you know, they've done a lot of coated blades. Not a huge fan of the coated blades. They've done some blasted finishes. Not particularly a huge fan of the blasted finishes either. I like the satin finish they do, but I have to say, I really like this stonewash. It's quite special, and it makes kind of an inexpensive knife just a little bit more special. So I dig it a lot, and it's also resistant to rust too this way. So very cool, very nice job with the blade, beautifully done, by the way. So nice edges, very sharp out of the box. So that's all I'm going to talk about as far as the blades go. Let's take a closer look at the handle here. And again, I'm going to use the large as kind of our model here. And you'll notice the first thing you'll see here is it's made out of plastic. It's made out of Grivery, which is a high density plastic, kind of a proprietary plastic that Cold Steel uses in a lot of their products. And you'll notice the nested full aluminum liners that are sticking out there. You can just see them peeking through, and that's what makes these knives so lightweight, but it still adds a lot of strength and rigidity. I think this is a great combo. I don't see a lot of aluminum liners, but I'll tell you, if this is a proof of concept, the Voyager, it's totally working here. So I like that, and I love how light these are. So yeah, I think the handle construction is pretty smart. It's all screw together construction, so you're going to be able to take this completely apart if you want to, if you need to. And the fit and finish and the way the handle's been put together is very impressive too. So everything is very smooth. It lines up nicely. It feels good. There's no real rough edges, so very pleased with that. Let's take a closer look at the ergos, and I'm going to start out with the XL, because we would really expect the XL to have good ergonomics, seeing how it's like a folding sword here. And you would be absolutely right. You got a great grip if you're trying to choke up a little bit, and then given this unique style to the handle, you can kind of get this sort of pistol grip thing going on if you're going to try and poke stuff or just really gain some distance for hacking through things. Maybe you're going to try and use this as something of a machete or something. So very nice handle, very comfortable. You've got some jimping at the top here, just some texturing. It's not super aggressive, but I think it works, especially given how large the knife is overall. The large one is also good. This is quite good. You can see, and I've got larger size hands here, so just for reference, and it takes my hand perfectly. There's no problems at all. Forward grip, very easy. Reverse grip, no problem here either. Quite nice. So to be expected with larger knives like this. Now the one that really had me concerned, and the one that I was really interested in, was this medium. And being the smallest of the three, I was wondering how this would work in the hand, especially with somebody with slightly larger hands like me. And I'll tell you, it does work. It's not the kind of grip like the large here, where you're completely inside the handle, but it actually works out because this thing becomes something of a pinky shelf, and it catches your pinky perfectly, and it makes it work. This is what makes it work for me. It's similar to a Spyderco Dragonfly and other designs, so if you're familiar with that, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, you've got the texturing on the top, it's very nice, and you've got texturing on the side too. You've got this kind of interesting cross pattern, and it provides a lot of grip, but it's not uncomfortable, especially since they've got all this rounded. So it's a perfect blend. It's really been well thought out. Ergonomics are outstanding on all these knives, so I'm very pleased with that. Let's talk a little bit about the pocket clip. And one thing, with the aggressive textures on G10 and stuff, you have to watch out because it might start to tear up your pants. I did not run into that issue with the Voyagers, and I've carried this in the same pair of pants for many times, and it's I've seen no signs of wear at all, so it's really held up well. I think this is a very smart material to use as far as just you know, how it affects your clothing. As for the clip itself, clip is very good. It's sturdy. You can see it's got this kind of flat black coating. It's held up really well. You'll notice I've got a little bit of wear here on the medium, and what caused this was actually rubbing up against concrete. I was under a truck and you know, working on the truck, and that's how this this wear kind of developed. But for normal kind of stuff, I mean, if you're not rubbing this thing on the sidewalk, you're going to be fine. It's actually going to hold up really well, and it's going to look good for a long time. It's also fully ambidextrous, tip-up carry, fairly discreet carry as well. It's not super deep, but it's pretty deep, and I've got no real complaints. It is kind of tight, though. I guess that is kind of a complaint. On some pants, it's really not an issue for me. I wear a lot of thin shorts down here in Florida, but with like a thicker pair of cargo shorts or a thick pair of work pants or blue jeans, you may notice that it's more difficult to get this clip in and out of the pocket. And my understanding is that it will loosen up over time, but if you're impatient, you may want to kind of bend the clip up a little bit. So I haven't had to do that, but hey, you never know. Your mileage may vary kind of situation here. So the next thing I want to discuss with you guys is the deployment and the lockup. And you'll see, of course, we've got some thumb studs here. Now, I really like these thumb studs. They're something of an improvement over some of the previous knives from Cold Steel that I've seen, like this Holdout 2. You may recall this review that I did not too long ago, and you'll see. So this one's got the kind of lopsided thumb stud, while this one, they've got the fully ambidextrous thumb studs. Vastly prefer this. I mean, sure, you could take these apart, you could swap them out. I've done that, but to me, that's just kind of unnecessary. You know, it begs the question, why not just make them fully ambidextrous from the get-go? And that's exactly what they did here, and I'm really happy. So, thumbs up to Cold Steel. They're actively improving their products, and it makes a big difference. It really does. So, great thumb studs. As far as deployment goes, it's actually very easy and very smooth from the start. I don't have a lot of room here to flip these around, especially this thing. I'm not going to even try because of the way I got the camera and all the lights and stuff set up. But trust me, very smooth. You can flip these open, no problem. And let's see. Yeah, no problem at all. A little slippery sometimes, but that's more user error than anything else. As far as the back springs and stuff go, they're not ridiculous. I know some knives, like for example, this Holdout 2, the Spartan, they have a bit of a break-in period. And with the Spartan, it was such a stiff spring on there that I really struggled to tame that one. You know, eventually it starts to break in. I didn't have those kinds of break-in issues. I was especially concerned about the XL. I figured a knife of this size is going to have some ridiculous spring on it. Really doesn't. I'm able, you know, just very, very easy. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on there at all, and it opens. And so when it opens, of course, you're going to be concerned about lockup, and you probably already know. This has got the triad lock in it. There's so much information out here on the lock already. It's something of a modified back lock, and it is incredibly strong. Probably, you know, the strongest lock there is on the market, if not the strongest lock currently on the market, and it's phenomenal, and it's been so well executed here because it's easy to release. So not bad at all, and it's just incredible, like a vault. You've got no blade play at all, and very smooth. You've got some phosphor bronze washers. You've got those nice low friction, high quality washers in here. So incredibly smooth and easy to deploy, and the lockup is excellent. And a little something I noticed is how they've taken this lock bar and they've actually cut a piece out, and you'll see here it kind of dips down, and that will help prevent the lock accidentally disengaging in your hand, I believe. I think that's why they did that, and I've had no issues with it coming apart at all. So with the lock, you know, accidentally disengaging or something. And you do have to be careful because this thing is so smooth, you can't catch your finger on here. And you know, but they're very, very, very well done, the triad locks on these. So quite impressed with that, and I'm just impressed with the entire knife. I mean, I think at this point we've covered all the bases. Let's see, try and get them all in the frame here. Something of a longer review, but you know, I'm doing 3 knives here, so it takes just a little bit longer to kind of work through all of them. But regardless of the size you pick, I think you're really going to like the knife. I could talk a little bit more about carrying them, which is something I kind of neglected to do, so I'm going to do that now. As far as carry goes, they're pretty good. You know, these are thicker knives. You can see here. They're all about, well, this one's definitely thicker than the medium, but they're going to be thick in the pocket, but I'll tell you, all are pretty easy to carry in my experience, with the exception of this one. I have a friend, a good friend of mine, who actually carries the XL every day, and he really likes it, and I know he's not the only one. I've seen some other people who like it too. For me, it's just a little too much knife, but the other two are fine. This one I carried, EDC'd this one for about 6 or 8 weeks now, and no problem. Love to have this one in my pocket. It's really just a joy to carry. It's a joy to use, and even the large too is very nice for my style of carry. It's totally fine. So okay, that goes through pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Final thoughts: fit and finish on these knives are phenomenal. You're really not going to find better knives for your money, I don't think, in terms of these larger knives. For you know, I don't want to say never. I never want to say never, but I really think, especially for these larger knives, there's just not much competing with them in their respective price points, and the fit and finish is just phenomenal. So I'm walking away highly impressed with the entire series of Voyager knives. These are probably some of the best knives to be released in 2011, and as we're kind of closing on the year, reflecting back on all the stuff that's come out, and just wowed by the price, the fit and finish, the materials, the components, the design. It's wonderful. So if you haven't already checked these knives out, I highly recommend any of them. My preference is for the clip points, but you know, find the blade shape that you like, and give it a chance, because I think you really will be quite pleased with this one. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. This is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another knife review.